My friends, today we are going to watch and react to a closing argument in the penalty phase of a death penalty case of Mr. Jose Soto-Escalera. Mr. Soto-Escalera was convicted of killing his mistress and their unborn child. And at this point in the trial, he's already been convicted in the liability phase. And now he is facing a jury on the question of what should his punishment be? Should it be life imprisonment or should it be the death penalty? So we're going to watch his lawyer's closing argument in the penalty phase. Reminder, he's already been convicted. We're just trying to determine what the penalty is. So let's determine whether or not this is a good closing argument or not. Let's get started with this. This should be pretty funny. There's Mr. Jose Soto-Escalera himself. Doesn't look super thrilled. So let's see how things are going to go for him today.
Mr. Richardson, your defense argument. Mr. Burns.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Okay.
Greetings also to you.
Uh-huh.
Tanya Wise. Josiah Wise. Murdered by Jose, who is my client.
I'm not sure it's necessarily the greatest start to remind the jury that the client murdered the people. I mean, I know he's been convicted and all, but I don't know if that's necessarily the best start, but okay, maybe it gets better.
The trial is always about the accused, but the case is about those two. The main facts of the case are that they are not here anymore.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what murder is. Yeah.
And I tell you that because it's true. And I tell you that because I wish you to recognize that I know it. None of the evidence that has come before you has been received by me in any inhuman or different way than you have received it. I've just lived with it for a much longer time.
Okay.
I wish to respond to some of the things that Prosecutor Richardson just indicated. He made a very strong case, and I told you yesterday that I am not going to quarrel with the fact that this was a coldly and calculatedly and premeditatedly done act.
Okay.
We have Jose's voice in his truck a couple of days before this. That was his plan. I don't dispute that. So what does that mean for you?
Okay.
Well, it means you're going to unanimously find that there's an aggravator.
I don't know that it's a good idea by the defense lawyer to tell the jury that they will find an aggravator. They are legally required to find certain aggravators or certain mitigators if they exist. But I don't know that you need to tell the jury that they must find an aggravator, which is against your client. I don't know that's helpful to say you will find an aggravator against us. Maybe phrase that differently. Okay.
And the gate is swinging wide open for you to kill him if you want to now.
The gate is wide open for you to kill him if you want to. Again, I'm not sure that's a great start, but okay, we're a minute 50 into this. It's a 56-minute closing argument. Surely we won't be pausing every 5 seconds. All right, let's carry on.
Last legal requirement is met.
Uh-huh.
The baby. I told you yesterday that those photos look to me much like a newborn baby.
Uh-huh.
Certainly less than 12 years of age. I don't argue that aggravator. Now there are two.
Okay.
I'm here to try to save my guy's life, not insult your intelligence. Those two factors are there. I don't have arguments against them that are in any way meaningful.
Okay.
That the crimes were committed while there were contemporaneous other capital felonies going on. Jose kills Tanya, the baby, is a contemporaneous crime. They work back and forth as aggravators. If you wish to find them so unanimously, I will only say this. The existence of the baby Josiah, the fact that Tanya was pregnant, is clearly a central fact.
Yeah.
But Jose's intent, while it would necessarily have to cover the baby, his anger, his hatred, whatever it was that was really pushing him and motivating him along, was aimed at Tanya.
Uh-huh.
There were no abdominal injuries. No indication of hatred toward the baby.
Okay.
Mr. Richardson tells you that because Jose said I'd lose everything, that therefore, beyond a reasonable doubt, you should all conclude that this crime was done for or affected by financial gain. No, that is not proved. If you are worrying about losing your marriage, that doesn't mean you're worried because there might be financial implications. If you're worried about losing your job because your wife is a supervisor, the uncontroverted evidence before you is that Jose has worked steadily since he's 15 and been totally self-sufficient. A divorce is not going to knock him off kilter. Fearing having to look for a job is not going to prompt him to do a murder. That this...
I mean, divorces can be pretty traumatic and financially expensive. And to speak frankly, particularly for the men, typically in most divorces. So they can be financially ruinous. So you do have, obviously, the underlying emotionality of the divorce itself. Plus, there can be, in many divorces, serious practical considerations, particularly as it relates to finances and housing and so forth and so on. So, you know, because it can affect significant amounts of your net worth. And yeah, so that could provide some additional motive beyond what would be normally true. Like, yeah, it would be the first divorce ever to lead to violence or death. I don't think so, man. They could be pretty tumultuous emotionally, psychologically, financially, even physically to some degree. Even beyond the physical violence, they can be problematic physically, because the psychological and stress of it can lead to actual physical harm unto itself. So it can be problematic in multiple different dimensions. So yeah, that stressor could potentially lead to a number of potential outcomes, including murder. Yeah. And it's like, oh, he has no fear for his money or his job. Really? Seriously? Is he a man? Does he know anything about the divorce system and family law system? Then he might have some stresses related to that. I don't know, man. All right, let's carry on.
Crime was done for financial gain is not proved beyond a reasonable doubt.
Uh-huh.
Because of the consequences of divorce, because of child support. He paid child support for 3 children, is the evidence before you, and gave groceries and clothing for the 4th. That's not proved.
Okay.
Extreme facts require, says the state, an extreme sentence. These are horrible facts. Every murder is comprised of horrible facts and would consist of photos of a victim in sight, photos of a victim during autopsy. Jose, according to the evidence, planned to get Tanya to a place and kill her. That's every mob hit ever. Let's get Paulie to the club and we'll whack him. That's not an extreme fact. That's an ordinary fact. We're talking about facts of murder, mind you. We're talking about murder. To get someone to a place where no one can see to do the crime is not extreme. It's common. In murder.
Normal routine murder. Okay.
Raul Benasco spent 90 minutes with Jose. Perhaps Mr. Richardson would prefer that he moved in with him for a year in his cell. How long is a man supposed to sit with them to learn some history and review his prison record, which is what the man's expertise is all about? That Lucinda Cook had no communication with Jose for 13 years and yet came in here after all that time to speak on his behalf, doesn't count against him, it counts for him. What kind of an impression did he make on her? That after all this time, she consults, she prays, and she comes in. When other people are jumping ship, she comes in. And her intention is not to tell you who he is now or quarrel with you about your verdict. It's to say, look, whatever you found that he did, I'm surprised by it because that's not the way he behaved with me and with my children. With us, he made us feel safe.
Right. So he's a person who isn't normally a violent person, but he reached a limit and apparently did a murder, which, I suppose to be fair to murderers, in most cases, most murderers are when a person is pushed to a fair extreme, right? Most murders are a one-time thing. Most people are not serial murderers. So I suppose in defense of the murderers, yeah, it would be true that in most cases, although certainly not all, in most cases, a person reaches a limit. Now, sometimes they have physicality and violence before that. So there might be a pattern of violence and they escalate to murder, but sometimes not. Sometimes, they finally cross the threshold and they're like ready to go to the wall. So yeah, he's not normally a murderer. Okay, noted. But he did this murder with the double murder. So there's that. Okay, pressing on.
And that takes me to kind of one of the topics that I want to discuss with you. I had hoped to just roll through here without having to refer to anything written, but the situation changed with my witnesses and whatnot, and so I'm going to refer to some topics here, and then I'm going to explain them to you. And one of the things that's going on here, I'm going to refer to as box and balloon. Box and balloon. Kid game.
Yeah, it does.
The box is the life of Jose Soto-Escalera. In total, everything. From birth to now, certainly from birth to the time he did the murder. And as you heard from his family, yeah, it's what's expected from family. Would your family come in and run you under the bus? I hope not. So, he was good. He was generous. He was uplifting. He was a mediator. He left and encouraged us to come out. There were good things to Jose. He comes to Florida. There are women who say good things about him. Madeline Colon and Lucinda Cook. He has long-term relationships with them. He supports emotionally and otherwise children that are his and that aren't his. He brings safety to women who are recovering from traumatic relationships. All that is in the box. At the bottom, we insert a balloon. A balloon is this crime. It is this murder. It inflates because...
So this is a reverse Pandora's box, I guess. In Pandora's box, when she opened up the box, escaped all the evils. And at the bottom of the box was hope. So this is a reverse Pandora's box. When this box is open, it's full of hope and joy. But at the bottom of the box is murder. Okay. Noted. Also, it's a balloon for some reason. I'm not sure how it's a balloon, but okay, a balloon. I suppose the balloon is going to inflate and push everything out of the box. Okie dokie. Let's listen to some more.
It is the chief act within all the acts of that box. The question for you is, how big does the balloon get? Does it crowd out every other thing in a man's existence to the point where you regard him as almost inhuman and therefore...
Well, that's a reasonable question, but it does remind me of the old joke. The old joke is, you make 1,000 bridges and you're a bridge builder, but you fuck one goat, right? And you're no longer a bridge builder. What are you? Yeah, we all know the answer to the question, right? So yeah, he was a really good guy. He did a lot of great things. It's only the one murder, man. Why would you call him a murderer? That doesn't really sum up his life. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think the murder might be notable. Pressing on.
or like a cigarette butt or a cockroach. He's not. He's a horrible, horrible killer.
Okay.
And other things too.
You gotta love that. He's a horrible, horrible killer and other things too. That's great. I'm going to use that in my next closing argument in a death penalty case. That's definitely a line I'm going to replicate. He's a horrible, horrible killer and other things too. 10 out of 10. No notes.
One of the topics I have written down here is humility. Humility. I recommend humility to myself.
Do you?
Don't always follow.
You don't say.
recommend humility to most people in most circumstances, and I most absolutely recommend it to you here in thinking about this. Why do I say this? Because you made an impression on me. When I sat back while Ms. Minton did all the work early in the case, I was watching and I was listening, and I was very, very impressed with your confidence. How confidently you all said,
He's literally bowing to the jury. I don't know, man. That seems a little patronizing. Okay.
this one I'd kill him, I'd kill him, I'd kill him. This one, I don't know. You're very confident in your ability to make these judgments, and I wonder, in addition to being impressed, I say, how do these people come by this confidence? Do you have education? Do you have experience in this regard? You were on the streets a couple of weeks ago. Now you're in here deciding who lived and who died. That's correct according to the law. And it's probably good that we don't leave it up to just one person.
I'm sorry. Did you just insult the jury's intelligence? Did you just literally say, who are you to judge? Is that what you said? Who are you to judge why whether he did these things or not? Do I really need to sit here and answer that question? Who they are? They're the jury. That's their job. Do you not know how this works? Okay.
I still think you ought to think about how perfectly suited you are to do this.
Uh-huh. More insulting the jury. That's great.
Think. How do you think? When's the last time or when's the first time any of you thought about how you think?
What?
Probably not. It's a thing you do. You put on your shoes, you make a bowl of cereal, you think. You're thinking all day. Your mind's taking you here and there. How exactly does it work? When have you examined the functioning of your brain? Look to that door right there. Let's use our imaginations. These folks here are essentially asking you to carve it on Jose's back and make arrangements for Death to do his thing with this guy. Because the law permits you to do it, and you would decide that's what should be done.
Yeah.
So through that door now comes Death. Death is coming in. Coming through the gate.
Death is coming in through the gate? What? Death is coming. What? I don't get it. Okay. Well, all right. Okay. Death is coming in. All right.
Death is right here. I'm asking you to imagine if Death is right here in the room with us.
Uh-huh.
How many of you perceive Death right here in the room with us as a female? None of you, right? As a child, none of you, right? He was some hulking, some version of the Grim Reaper, right? You have conclusions and ways and things in your brain, and you don't even know how they got in there. Death could be a woman. Death could be a child.
Death could be a child is a new one. That's new. Death could be a child. Okay. What?
It could be a noxious cloud. But you...
And more with the bowing. Death could be a noxious cloud. Death itself, mind you. This is not how you die. So it's not that the noxious cloud is like poison and you die from the poison. He's saying that the noxious cloud is death itself. So, what? I suppose it doesn't really matter whether it's a noxious cloud or not, if it's death itself. The noxious, it doesn't really add anything to it. As opposed to just a non-noxious cloud. Either one would be equally death. So these analogies confuse me. So death could be a man, woman, child, or noxious cloud. Perhaps it could also be beams of sunlight. I don't know what we're doing now. I'm very confused.
I'm pretty sure that death is a male. Other ways. Do you think or make decisions and you're not even exactly sure what? This is intended to be an abiding decision. Live with you forever. Like your religion, like you love your children, like your sports team, things you don't change. And so if you decide to kill Jose, that means that you are right now, today, knowing how you're going to think forever, right now you're going to lock your brain into an unyielding rigidity that says, kill him. And if someone asks you next year, or in 10 years, or in 20 years, oh yeah, I'm still good with it. That's what it means. And that's why you should approach this with some humility. I want you to imagine something else. I'm going to call it
I don't want to imagine anything else. You had me imagine death and I got very confused. I'm not sure I want to imagine other things. All right. Maybe number 2 will be better.
spectrum of death. Jose, don't.
You want me to imagine the spectrum of death? I have to tell you, man, I don't think death is on a spectrum. I think death is kind of a thing or not. I really don't think death is on a spectrum. I don't think that's a thing. Okay.
Over here is one end. And I'm at this end.
You know, our friend over here doesn't look super comfortable in this chair. But that's okay. I do have a different chair that he might be able to get.
Objection. This old chair is guilty of back crimes. Now, I need a reliable seat because I sit at my desk all day. But fortunately, Flexispot has sent me the brand new C7 Max. So this is the C7 Max from Flexispot. It's got a 3D headrest that tilts. It's got a height adjustable backrest. It's got a sacrum-focused lumbar, good for lower back. Adjustable seat depth and 0.2 inches of latex and memory foam, good for 12 hours of comfort. And it's got armrests that move in 5 dimensions, adjustable for typing and gaming alike. And bonus, it has a nice footrest, so when you need to relax, you really can. So this upgrade is approved. And why don't you buy one today? It's a 30-day, no-risk, free return, 10-year warranty with direct replacement. Link is in the description and card. And if you're on a budget, there's always the C5. If you want the upgraded lumbar and back support, it's the new C7 Morpher. So make sure to tap the cards or visit flexispot.com/category/chairs. I really hope you'll enjoy it.
Returning to whatever this is, let's watch some more.
And you're at this end, and everyone else in this room is at this end because we had no involvement with killing. You ever killed anyone? Have you thought about it? And certainly didn't engineer it and make a heavy-duty recommendation that it be done. We are all over here, unstained and unsullied by any association with death and killing. Jose is on the spectrum here. Jose is on the spectrum. Let's make this mark on the spectrum where we started with Ashley Minton's questions to you. And in the next courtroom over, we've got a murderer, a first-degree murderer who intended to do it. Oh, now, we have a little more than that. We have some aggravators. So Jose's a little further on the spectrum of death. Way out here at the other end of the spectrum of death is we'll put our state actors. Your Hitlers, your Stalins, people who kill in the millions.
I'm sorry, did you just seriously bring Hitler into this discussion? Did you just bring Hitler into this? Really? Seriously? You want your client and Hitler anywhere in each other's minds at the same time? Wow. I mean, there's that old, law of the internet that, any argument that goes long enough will eventually invoke Hitler or the Nazis. But wow. Hitler and Stalin, man. Those are definitely people you want associated with your client. That's brilliant legal tactics there. Help me.
It's not really relevant to us, but it's out there because what you need to.
It's not really relevant, but I brought it up anyway. Great. Thanks for bringing up irrelevant things. That's always helpful. Great.
Comprehend, and I don't know if it's ever come through in all the system, from all the sessions that we had. How do we decide what is a death penalty case? For people that you send to Tallahassee, when they become geniuses and philosopher kings, they look at the spectrum of murder, all of it, and say, okay, where are we going to pin it to say what is a death penalty case?
Yeah.
And so, the whole circumstance that we've...
Please stop moving the podium. Also, yes, the legislature voted when a case becomes serious enough for the death penalty. That is true. That's how our system of government works. Do you need to, go back to Schoolhouse Rock or something? I'm just a bill, only a bill, sitting here on Capitol Hill. That song works for the federal government as well as state governments. Different Capitol Hill, but the song works both ways. Do you need a refresher on how our system of laws work? Yeah, the legislature voted on things. Yeah, that's how that worked. Okay, moving on.
And I'm just one guy with some words, and I'm afraid you're kind of roll right through me and try and kill him, but you don't have to. Here's one simple thing.
What?
And in thinking about this argument and then making it, I kept coming back to it because I'm a very simple person, possibly a simpleton.
Simpleton is not the worst word I've ever heard to describe you. Yeah, I mean, I know nothing about this case whatsoever except that he killed his wife or killed his lover and his baby, unborn baby. And I feel like I'm ready to be tapped in. I want to know if co-counsel's over here, can I stand up and tap him out or something? Because there's no way she's this bad. The prosecutor's over here just what the hell? This is okay.
And it is this. Why would any ordinary, decent person with a conscience orchestrate a death if they don't have to?
Okay. I don't even know what to say about that. Why would any decent person orchestrate a death unless they had to? Are you talking about the jury or are you talking about your client? I'm not really sure either way. All right.
Why would you make someone die if it's not required? And it is not required under any circumstances that you have heard or will hear. If Jose is to die judicially, it's because you did it. You want it to be done. The judge...
Again, I don't think calling the jury killers is the way to go here. You're a bunch of bloodthirsty tyrants. Really not the strategy, not the play. I've never done a criminal case. I still feel more qualified. Put me in, coach. Help me. Lord have mercy.
Can't do it on his own. You have to do it.
Maybe the defendant should have gone pro se on this one, to be honest. Could have been much worse. Darrell Brooks arguably did better in his closing argument than this. I think he actually did. That's sad. I think Darrell Brooks actually did do better in his closing argument than this. Maybe it's because my expectations for Darrell Brooks were so low, but yeah.
And so you I'll use the word contort, but maybe your brains flip right into that position naturally. I say you have to contort yourself and everything you believe and your consciences to get to a place where you can say, I'm morally comfortable with killing a guy.
Uh-huh.
Let me talk about some of the mitigators. Where's my list of mitigators? There are a lot of mitigators.
Where is my list of mitigators? That's not a great moment for defense counsel. I have a list of reasons you shouldn't kill him. Where is my list? What did I do with my list? Are you just giving this speech off the top of your head? Did you not practice this at all? Did you not practice it? Did you not write out some even if you don't want to give it verbatim, like word for word, which I totally understand. If you don't want to do that, that's fine, but you still should bullet point it. That would be like the way to go. Like points I must hit, right? So you improv around an outline. That would be a strategy and not necessarily the worst strategy. But even then, you want to practice it. You practice improving around the outline so that you have some ideas of where you're going to go. But and at the minimum, you want to have the outline. And he doesn't seem to even have the outline. He doesn't even seem like, oh, I have these points that I'm trying to hit to as a part of my thesis. Is he making this all up off the top of his head? It seems like it. Did he not practice this? That's a bad strategy. Man, oh man.
There are always a lot of mitigators because anything can be a mitigator.
That's true.
And I'm behind the 8 ball. So I'm going to throw a lot of mitigators out there. I don't suggest they're all of equal weight. I don't even consider them all of equal weight. But I don't know which one you back there might latch on to. So I'm going to run through them quick. I might highlight a couple of them. This list will be attached to the instructions. It will be part of the instructions that the judge will read you, so you don't have to remember it. There are 29 of them, and some of them strike the same theme, but if Jose was nice to 4 people, I'm going to name them all individually. As you have heard, as the judge has told you, there's no dispute that Jose has no significant history of prior criminality. That I will highlight for a moment, because that is an extraordinary fact. Do you recognize that? This is a convicted double murderer who did nothing prior. And I think that's important, and I suggest you should think that's important, because if I'm going to...
Well, I mean, he definitely leaped right to the top, right? I mean, he skipped all the way from no criminal history to worst possible criminal history. So, I mean, you gotta appreciate his 0 to 100 real quick on that. But yeah, okay, all right.
Make a heavy recommendation that a judge kill someone. It should be a bad person. It should be a very bad person. It should be a pretty bad person through and through. That's not who Jose is. This is an explosion of violence that comes out of nowhere in his life.
Okay, that was way too much theater, kid. I gotta watch that again, because I appreciate a little bit of theater in a closing argument or opening argument, but what the hell was that? You gotta watch that one again.
This is an explosion of violence that comes out of nowhere in his life.
Probably don't do that would be a recommendation as well. Probably not the best idea. Takes the murder issue a little bit too casually for my taste. You know, this is a double murder with a death penalty, maybe a little flamboyant and casual for the double murder closing argument death penalty phase. Maybe reconsider. Just an idea.
Doesn't make it any better. Still makes it a murder, but it doesn't make him the type of utterly useless human who you might want to put down.
I don't know about that one.
He's utterly useless, and this is not in keeping with anything that he has exhibited before. And that is very important. Jose was abandoned by his father as a child, raised in chronic poverty. I'm going to stop on that one for a minute, because we did discuss that many times, and a lot of people jury selection didn't like it. And remember, we're past the guilt phase. No one is saying, poor Jose, you let him go because he grew up in poverty.
You know, not for nothing, but if you have a good sense already about what the jury likes and what they don't like in terms of argument, if you know that they're already responding well or not well to particular arguments, then by the time you get to the closing argument in the penalty phase, maybe you should tailor your closing argument to what they like and don't like. If you know from prior interactions that the jury doesn't seem to like the poverty argument, maybe that's not an argument you really should make. Maybe you should find arguments that they like. You know, tailor your speech to the audience that has your client's fate in his hand. Maybe try to tailor your argument to what they like and avoid things they don't like. The principal job of a lawyer is to elevate whatever is good and diminish whatever is bad. That's the short definition of a lawyer. In liability, in penalty, in everything, right? What you do when you hire me as your lawyer, what you want me to do is you want me to bring out and emphasize and augment and exhale good information and diminish, bury, conceal, undercut, underplay bad information. That's the short definition of what a lawyer does, right? Because a lawyer, in most cases, in almost all cases, has information to a whole host of potential facts. Lots and lots of potential facts. Cases are complex and have lots and lots of information. So the primary job of a lawyer is to sift through that information using, of course, the legal standards that apply. So you have to have knowledge of the law. So you know what legal standards you're trying to make or not make. So you have to find what evidence is best or not best for your case. And then also, as you get to know the jury better, then you can tailor things even more towards that particular jury to give them things they like and don't like. Right? That's kind of the short definition of a lawyer. So he's like, I know that you don't like this, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's not a great strategy either. Probably should avoid that.
But poverty brings challenges. That's all I ask you to recognize. You know, we acknowledge the importance of two-parent homes and sufficient money to meet our needs, and yet if people don't have that, we really don't cut them any slack about it. All I'm saying is consider it as a mitigating factor. He had less than probably you and many others. I don't know exactly what that means.
A lot of poor people don't do the murders, though. So there's that. Yeah.
My dad was a school teacher. Jose suffered from transgenerational family trauma.
Transgenerational family trauma. It's not his fault. It's his grandfather's fault. That's nice. All right, sell me on that proposition.
There's problems with the mama, problems with him, problems growing up in Bridgeport with no money.
Uh-huh.
Chronic exposure to trauma during his childhood. The mama seems to remember the house being fine and the neighborhood fine, but it was not fine. You heard from the cousins. This is not a fine neighborhood. It was a violent neighborhood where drugs were dealt on the streets and crime was in the streets and crime was seen. And that's not an ordinary way to grow up. Jose can positively contribute to society in prison as a worker. I don't contend that that is an especially weighty concern, but it is a totally relevant concern because remember, where is it?
What is this?
It's life without parole. Look at that. It's like the forgotten option somewhere. Oh, well, I'm blowing the dust off it, and it looks pretty good. It looked fine to me.
What the hell kind of gesture theater kid bullshit was that we just saw? Do I really have to give notes on that? Holy shit.
Life without parole. Let's remember, and I will recall to you what you told us also at the same time, within probably 2 seconds of telling us you all can impose the death penalty, you all said you would consider life without possibility of parole.
Uh-huh.
And if you're sitting here now not doing it, you're not following the law and you're not doing your job. If you decided last week he's guilty and you're going to kill him, you're working a charade and a fraud on us right now. So everybody...
Again, probably don't accuse the jury of committing a fraud. Do I really need to sit here again and tell you rule number 1 of litigation? Guys, it's a universal rule. Okay, rule number 1, don't piss off the judge. Also, don't piss off the clerk, by the way, because the clerk can save your ass. So that's rule 1A. Okay, rule 1A is don't piss off the clerk because they can save your ass. And if you piss off the clerk, they can fuck you. Okay, so rule 1A, don't piss off the clerk. Rule 1, don't piss off the judge. That also applies to the jury because the jury is the judge of the facts. They are the judge of the facts. So probably don't accuse them of fraud. That's a good pro tip. Holy shit.
Everybody's mind better be open. You don't have to like what I'm telling you, but you got to listen to it. And you told us you would get...
I don't know, man. I definitely don't like it, and I'm listening to it for all the value it has, but it's not going well for you.
Consider it. And I'm not exactly striking the tone of a beggar here, but nevertheless, you have a job to do, and I'm going to make sure that you do it.
You have a job to do. I'm going to make sure you do it. Well, I think they know what their job is, but thanks.
Jose has established and maintains long-term substantive meaningful relationships with friends. Jose has established close family bonds and relationships with his cousins.
Tilting that podium again. The answer is not underneath the podium, I promise you. Please stop tilting the podium. Thanks.
Ripple. If you're going to kill someone, you know that. You've heard from the victims in the case. Jose has maintained a close relationship with his mother, maintains close family bonds with his children. You know, that's supposed to be the motive here. And yet he's had opportunity galore and never killed anyone.
He's had opportunity to kill lots of people, but he's never killed people up to now. Bad. All right. Okay. Sure.
That doesn't mean he didn't do this. He did. But if he is monstrously wrong for killing one child, you can't deny him or deny the existence of the fact that he helped and contributed and lived a meaningful part of his other children's lives for a long time.
He didn't kill any of his other children. He only killed one. He didn't kill the other ones. Yeah, what is the freebie? What's the mulligan on killing children? Just out of curiosity for this guy. And also, like, how many children do I have to get that mulligan? So just out of raw curiosity from his perspective, if I only have one child and I kill that one child, do I still get the mulligan, or do I have to have like 10 children before I can kill one? So what is the number of children to murder ratio where I get a mulligan? Anyone in chat have any ideas what that ratio is? Asking for a friend. Well,
I don't know if there's a rug back in the jury room, but you would not be doing right to pick up the corner of it and sweep facts you don't like under it.
Sweep facts under the rug in the jury room? Oh, man. This is a beautiful disaster. Again, I've never argued a criminal case, and I'm not sure that the first criminal case I should ever argue should be a death penalty case. I'm not really sure that's wise. Nevertheless, I feel ready to step in with the knowledge I have at this point. I could make a better closing argument off the top of my head. I'm not saying it would work. I am saying it would be more coherent. I could do better than this. Put me in, coach. Is this the standard for death penalty lawyers? Is this the standard? Damn, I'm overqualified. Shit. Maybe I'm better than I thought. Damn.
Jose demonstrated exemplary jail behavior. He poses no danger to prison staff or inmates. Again, these are all relevant considerations if he is going to be living for years before execution and living out the rest of his life in prison. How he will do in prison is completely relevant for you to consider. Jose has been a positive influence on family members. Jose will be required to work 40, 60 hours a week. That's every day in DOC. As a prisoner, you know, Jose's a prisoner. He's been a prisoner for 7 years. When you capture prisoners in war, you don't kill them. It's a war crime.
Well, as to whether when you capture prisoners of war, can you kill them? I would direct your attention to the Nuremberg trials. But I digress. Moving on.
Here, it's okay to kill prisoners. Think about that. You're being asked to kill a prisoner. He's neutered. He's nothing. He's been in handcuffs and shackles behind bars in a secure jail, guarded 24/7 for more than 7 years. What is the need to kill him? You got that much of an urge? Take him out of his cage and put him down? He's helpless. He's hopeless. That's enough.
If he's hopeless, then that's kind of a good reason to give the death penalty if he's hopeless. Yeah. Okay, this isn't working the way you think it should.
Your common sense should tell you, your understanding of the world, at least the United States, should tell you that there's plenty of states that don't have a death penalty at all.
Uh-huh.
And they might say, well, he's a prisoner. You got to kill him. You kill prisoners. That's where your morality is. You kill prisoners. Who's more helpless than a prisoner? Jose was a positive influence on his former girlfriends and their children.
So, I mean, from that point of view, he's basically arguing against the death penalty as a universal. He's saying that there should never be the death penalty, which I don't think is the right line to go down, because you have the death penalty in the state, and this jury has been death penalty qualified already. So you know, or you should know because you were there, you know that all these jurors have said that they could institute the death penalty if the facts were appropriate. Every juror who says, no, I could never do it, is not on the jury. You have to be death penalty qualified, which means you have to believe that some people deserve the death penalty at least sometimes. If you believe that no one deserves the death penalty, you can't serve on a death penalty jury. Now, whether that's the way it should be or not is neither here nor there, because it is that way. So this guy knows, because he was there, because it's a trial, he knows that all these jurors believe that that death penalty can be used sometimes. And now he's basically trying to argue against the death penalty as a universal. That doesn't really make sense, because it's not like there are people in there who could believe that, because they've been excluded already. So you don't want to argue against the death penalty as universal at this point. You want to argue against it for your client. And he's trying to say, well, the death penalty is never justified because he's a prisoner and so forth and so on. But yeah, that's not the right line of argument. You have to make it more specific. This is not working.
Jose can be redeemed. For that matter, you know what Jose did 7 years ago. Do you know where his head is at now? If he is taken out in several years and executed, you kill the body, but what is his head? Where will his mind be at? Do you know? Will he be the same person?
Uh-huh.
Because that's how punishment works, of course. Who among us hasn't suddenly snatched up one of our children, put him over our knee, administered a spanking, and said, that's for what you did 7 months ago? It's not how punishment should work. Jose provides.
So wait, are you calling for summary capital punishment then? Or maybe you're going the complete other way. Maybe you're saying this shouldn't be a jury question at all. Maybe when they arrest the guy, we should just do it summarily. Is that what you're arguing for? The police officer should pull out his gun and just shoot the guy, execute, be like Judge Dredd, judge, jury, and executioner, or literally dispense death penalty on the spot? Are you arguing for a Judge Dredd scenario? I mean, I suppose we could have that system of justice. I'm not sure that's really what you want, but yeah, it's like, why would we punish him for something he did 7 years ago? So you should have punished him instantly? You don't believe in due process anymore? Or you believe in due process in the sense that the judge is the police officer and literally dispenses it as he sees fit instantly? I mean, I suppose that's a system. Is that what you want? I'm confused. Do you want a Judge Dredd scenario, or do you want no death penalty, or what are we even advocating for? I'm not even clear anymore.
Support for his children. No prior history of violence. No criminality, no violence. He has helped his former girlfriend and his son's mother escape dangerous domestic violence situations. He has always been a hard worker in manual labor fields, furniture delivery, security work, others. Jose escaped a high crime, high poverty area independently, moving to Florida when he was just 15 years old, and he made it on his own. Despite lacking the opportunity to complete his education, he overcame that lack of education through consistent work ethic. He never took a dime of public money, even though he was just a teenager. And again, that undercuts the argument that he did this killing in any way connected to or for or about pecuniary or financial gain. He's always had to work and always had money. Jose has exhibited excellent courtroom behavior. You probably know that people accused of crimes, especially murderers, especially in long trials and processes, they don't always keep their mouths shut and they don't always behave. Jose.
You gotta like that as an argument. I love that. That's just, he's been a real good boy during the trial, man. So, he's been real attentive, like a schoolboy. That's for some points. That's great. I guess when you got nothing, you got to scrape the bottom of the barrel. I guess that's true, but Lord have mercy, man.
He has behaved just as he has behaved as an inmate. Jose will continue to offer positive life influence on his children, family members, and friends who have become emotionally dependent on him. He began working and earning money to help support his family at a young age. He's always been self-supporting, as I mentioned, not a drain on society. Some, if not all of those, you should find exist a little more likely than not. Then you are required to consider them. What you give them is completely up to you.
Okay.
This part of the process seemed to confuse a lot of your fellow people who didn't make it onto the jury, who kept insisting that the law, they're just going to follow the law. The law is depositing you off there at a crossroads if you don't realize it yet. Okay, you are going to tell the law what will happen here. Life, forever and ever, until you die and they take you out of prison, or death penalty. And the law doesn't tell you which one, but the law does tell you that life without possibility of parole, like the stepchild option in here, is not a stepchild option. It's perfectly good.
I know I sort of already alluded to this, but this guy has basically no confidence in what he's saying. He's got to sell this. And he doesn't have the body presence of anyone who believes what he's saying. It comes from a lack of practice. He has not practiced this. Again, if you don't want to do a verbatim speech, that's perfectly fine. There's a lot of merit to not giving a verbatim speech. But you should bullet point it. You have, some major topics you want to hit, and then you have some bullet points under that you want to hit. And, you have an outline, like a cogent person. And then you practice against the outline. You practice it a couple times so you get a feel for it. but he hasn't done that work. This is horrible. And even for pure improv, this is pretty horrible. I could do better purely improv. This is rough.
The law gives you a choice because it's perfectly happy with the life. Perfectly happy. And so should you be. It would keep you off the spectrum of death. If you do order
Off the spectrum of
that
death.
they be killed, you're not outside over here off the spectrum of death. You move a little bit closer to him. You now have some involvement in killing. Not that you'll do it yourself.
Oh, that's good. I like that. That's just super special. The spectrum of death, not only will he be closer on the spectrum of death, but you will be, the members of the jury. By voting for death, you are closer to death yourselves because you have voted for death. Wow. Yeah, that's again, calling the jury killer is not recommended. Woof.
You'll just set the first domino falling that will result in it.
I gotta wonder what this prosecutor's thinking in his own head right now. I mean, the look on his face suggests he's probably thinking some version of what the fuck is this? And I don't blame him. I also don't blame him for not objecting. You know, was it Napoleon who said never interrupts your enemy when they're making a mistake? Yeah, this guy knows that. Yeah.
Jurors isolated from the execution. You're making a moral decision, but you're not making it in a vacuum, and don't think because it will happen years down the line and you won't be there and the needle won't be in your hand that you're not responsible. That's my point to you. You are responsible. The prison's far.
Look at this cop's watch, by the way. This gold chrono that he has looks like some sort. Yeah, that's a little flashy, officer. It's maybe something a little bit more subdued colored, but woof. Okay.
Well, yeah, you're still responsible if it happens. Well, someone else in the state's employ, the state executioner will do it, so your hands will be dirty, but it's your handiwork that will be done.
Your hands will be dirty. It's your handiwork that'll be done. Yeah. Great.
So don't think of it as just, you making a death recommendation is like dropping some instructions off on your secretary's desk as you leave for a long weekend. It is not that.
Uh-huh.
With victim impact statements, we heard from several members of Tanya's family. Her mother, I suggest, especially her son, who I thought testified very impressively for his mother. And it may not matter coming from me, but I'm quite certain his mother is proud of him and would be proud of him. But I hate victim impact statements, not for the reason you probably think.
Okay. I hate victim impact statements. The next words out of your mouth will have to be legendary. This better be really, really good. All right, what you got?
Because, in fact, I love victim impact statements done right. Victims should have a voice. They should be heard, especially in crimes of violence and especially in loss of life cases. I think victim impact statements should be published in the newspaper, and court administration should pay for it. They should have a voice. But here, in this process, that voice is best expressed to the judge with experience, not to the jurors with none. Because within this tight process that you're following that might lead to someone's death, in comes these victim impact statements, and where do they fit into the process? They do not. What will the judge tell you? Well, the purpose is to establish the uniqueness of the victim and the impact on the family and community. Who would dispute that a murder victim is unique? Everything in here, we're all the same and all exactly different. Of course, Tanya Wise is unique and special and has special characteristics and qualities. But the only thing that you're instructed to do is not regarded as an aggravator. Well, what are you hearing it for then? It for sure ain't no mitigator. Every single one of those statements is like an emotion bomb, a sympathy grenade going off. He's spattering the walls with sympathy.
What the fuck? Again, the dramatics. I'm not necessarily against some theatrical elements for a lawyer. I think lawyers should probably take some theater. Lawyers who do courtroom work should take some theater. In fact, they have classes specifically for that, theater for lawyers, because there is a theatrical element. To be sure, you have a special audience, but it's theatrical, at least partially. But dude, what the fuck is this? Let's watch this bullshit again.
A sympathy grenade going off. He's spattering the walls with sympathy.
Also, I'm not sure spattering the walls when we're talking about a death penalty case is necessarily the best move, since it will make you think of spattering of blood. But, great.
Not for my guy. In fact, it is so much seeming like an aggravator that you have to be told it's not an aggravator. So that's one thing I don't like about it, that it's dropped in here unfairly. It operates against me and my client, but...
Why are you telling the jury this? Why are you telling the jury why you don't like it? I mean, it is what it is. It's like, I don't like that you get to hear it. But they do get to hear it. I mean, so, and you were saying like, oh, this should be for the judge, not for you, the inexperienced people. Again, they are the judge of the facts. And so, yeah, that's their job. It's supposed to be a jury of your peers. That's the whole point. Okay, moving on. Do you think that jurors should have no role in death penalty decisions? Is that what you think is a matter of policy? Like, what is his policy? I don't even know where he is as a matter of policy. Does he want to judge dread this thing? And so, the police officer should just do executions on the spot. Does he not want to have the death penalty at all? Does he want to not have the jury involved in the death penalty decision? What is his policy that he wants? I don't even know where he is as a matter of policy. It's like, it's okay. Does he want professional jurors, whatever that would mean? What is he even advocating for? I'm so confused.
What am I supposed to do with it? What are you supposed to do with it? It's not an aggravator, and you're only supposed to be deciding the case on aggravators and mitigators, so what are you supposed to do with it? And the other reason I don't like it is because it lends itself to being a victim ranking system. If Tanya Wise had no family whatsoever to come in here for her and give victim impact statements, is her life and her murder any less important thereby? No. If Tanya Wise was the chief of surgery at the local hospital and saved hundreds of lives through her surgical skills, would that make a difference? It should not. One man, one vote, one murder victim, all the same. They're all the same. Every life is valued the same. No life is valued more than another. If Tanya had nobody to come, if that whole segment was not here at all, okay, it's victim impact time. No one stay here. So what are you supposed to do? She must not be worth very much. Right? Or, look, it's 100 people come in, she must be worth so much. It's a victim ranking system, it stinks. Everyone's the same. No one deserves to be killed, no matter who you are.
Okay, so he's against the death penalty universally again? Okay, I guess. So, but that's a bad argument to make. If he does not believe the death penalty should ever be used, that's a fair enough position to have politically, because there are certainly people who believe that. And maybe that's the correct position. I don't, I'm not God. I'm not here to tell you whether or not you should believe in the death penalty or not. But if he believes the death penalty should not be a thing, then maybe he should try to convince Florida to get rid of the death penalty. As he points out, a lot of other states have. Maybe Florida will sometime too. Who could say? Although they seem to be going the other direction, but whatever. But it is what it is. And so, like, I'm against the death penalty completely. Well, for absolute certainty that this jury believes the death penalty can be used, at least in some situations, because they're all death penalty qualified, because you were there. So arguing against the death penalty as universal doesn't make any sense in this context. It's a bad argument. It doesn't get you anywhere. He doesn't seem to understand the way things are. Like, he may not like the things the way they are, but as a lawyer, you kind of have to take the cards that you're dealt. And sometimes you can't do a lot with those cards because sometimes you have a bad hand. But, yelling at the rules of the game in the middle of the game doesn't really get you anywhere. It doesn't work,
And so I don't like it for that reason. Look, this case is loaded with emotion from top to bottom.
Uh-huh.
And that's just a gigantic injection of it. And for what? I'm not sure what you're supposed to do with it, and you can't be sure either because it doesn't fit in. It's not an aggravator or a mitigator. That's what we're doing here. We're weighing aggravators and mitigators. We're figuring out factors of his character that might lead you to not kill him. That Tanya is unique, that her family is mourning, that there's a void that won't be filled. Yes. But that's not the point. The point is that she is a person who should be alive.
34 minutes into this. 34 minutes out of 56 minutes. I'm only 2/3 through this closing argument. Help me.
He is not now. Due to Jose's criminality. Who she is important, but it's important outside of this process. Here's another one of my little topics that I wrote. This is not a fixable situation. You know that. Tanya's gone for 7 years now, Josiah never had a chance. Ever began. Whether he is imprisoned, Jose, for the rest of his life, or whether he gets taken out at some point and injected to death with whatever they put in there, Tanya and Josiah will not come back. It can't be made right. And we, you, me, it just doesn't fit right. And then I think it especially doesn't fit right for Americans because we both go, okay, what are we going to do about it? Let's do something. There's nothing meaningful that can be done. If there are people rooting for the death of Jose, I don't know that there are. If that day comes, they may experience a moment or a day of satisfaction, but I think the next day after, the heaviness and the sadness of the loss is still there. It's undiminished. That's the fact. He lives or dies is less important than the loss that cannot be made right. Killing him won't fix it. It won't fix it. It won't take.
Yeah, but fixing it is not one of the principal reasons that we do it. We do it out of reciprocity of balancing the scales, but not to fix the underlying thing. So yeah, we're not trying to fix it because it can't be fixed. We're trying to instill justice. They say that justice is giving someone what they deserve. So what does he deserve? It's like, that's the real question. Not whether we can fix it, right? That isn't what justice is. Justice is not fixing it. Justice is not fixing the underlying problem. Justice is giving the person who did the bad thing what they deserve. So that's not really a great argument.
The pain away. Let's talk about something that we mentioned.
Building that podium again. Keep tilting it, baby.
Jury selection. Which, by the way, does it seem that Ms. Minton, that poor Ashley did so much of the work here in this case, and I did relatively so little? That's my fault. It was a little inside baseball for you. This is my case. I am lead attorney in the case, and Ms. Minton works for me, so to speak, under my supervision.
She voluntarily works for you? Does she need help? Hey, second chair. Hey, do you need help? Blink twice if you need help.
And I could have done everything, or I could have done nothing. But like I told you yesterday, I waited a long time for my chance to speak to you. And the detectives among you have already figured out, because I knew I would be here. I knew there would be a penalty phase.
Right about now, this woman, the second chair over here, is thinking about going across the table at the end of this thing and saying, hey, are you guys hiring the prosecutor's office for the future? Bail out now, man. Bail out while you still can.
And I figured that this would be the hottest part of the trial for Mr. Jose Soto-Escalera. And so I figured that this ought to be my post of duty and not Ms. Ashley's post of duty. But
I've not seen Miss Ashley, but I feel like I'd take my chance with Miss Ashley. I feel like it can't possibly be any worse. Yeah.
everything that has transpired in this courtroom has been done with my knowledge and my approval from the defense side of things. And you know what? You know why? Maybe you're thinking, well, hey, Attorney Burns, what did you drag us to a trial for if you figured your guy was guilty already?
Did he just say that he knew his client was already guilty? Yeah, okay.
If they're trying to kill my guy, and they're going to cross every T and dot every I before they get to do that. Late in a losing game, a losing effort, the final seconds click off the clock. The quarterback doesn't drop back in the pocket and take a knee and give up. He used to fall as far as he can in hopes for a miracle.
So let me make sure I got this straight. You believe you're in this is not a great strategy. You want to say that you're in a losing game. You know you're losing. You know you're way behind. And this whole thing is one big ass Hail Mary? That's the imagery you want to go with? You know, I don't know much about this attorney, but have you considered retiring? You know, maybe you've stayed too long at the fair, sir. Maybe it's time to give that second chair that promotion and, find a nice porch that you can rock it or something. I don't think this is working for you, sir. Yeah.
Do you think you are the only ones who can read and understand and appreciate and see evidence and what it means?
What?
I've been doing this for a long time. Whatever you can do in that regard, I can do better. I knew I would be here.
Again, insulting the jury. And whatever you could do, I could do better. Don't piss off the judge. He's forgotten rule number 1 many, many times. Lord.
And we make no apologies for fighting every step of the way, including now. And frankly, I feel like I'm in the last ditch. I'm maybe fighting you all off, and I got nothing but a rusty sword in my hand. A slingshot. Nothing but words. I really don't want you to kill my guy.
He's an attorney. He says, I don't have anything but words. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how that works. Especially in a closing argument. A closing argument is words, usually. That's how that usually works. Okay. Moving on.
But we're going to talk now about mercy. I hear some of your voices. I hear them from here saying, oh, counselor. Oh, well. Attorney Burns, I was kind of half with you, sort of paying attention up to this point. But mercy for this guy? Mercy.
Please retire, sir. Miss Ashley. Hey, Miss Ashley. Maybe it's time to find a different lawyer to practice under. Maybe it's time to start your own firm. You've got to be more qualified than your boss at this point. I believe in you, Miss Ashley. This is pretty bad. Quit now. Throw up your own shingle. Join the prosecutor's office. Anything. Jesus Christ.
You may, if you hearken back just a few weeks, you will recall when Miss Ashley was addressing this topic with you. The point
Also not for nothing. Is Ashley her last name? Because it could be, but like Ashley is a more typical first name. Is he calling her by her first name, Miss Ashley? Unbelievable.
to be made, and the distinction to be made is how does mercy work? If the guy who gets it have to earn it, people who give it just give it. The concept, I believe, that was attempted to be taught to you, and there's not really much time in that classroom where you have to address 20 other matters, is that mercy is always in the power of the victor. Weak people, losers, don't get to grant mercy. People who have power get to grant mercy. And so, whether it's withheld or granted, has very little to do with the recipient and very much to do with you, the grantors. It's a statement of who you are. And so, if any of you are still even within earshot on this issue of mercy, you need to just consult yourself and say, look, am I a merciful person or not? What does mercy mean in this case? The merciful thing is to condemn Jose to live for decades and decades and decades in prison behind bars until he dies. To become institutionalized and infantilized over time and told when to go to bed and when lights on and lights out and when to eat and not to eat and look through bars and never get out. If I imprison you guys in your old high schools, how long would it be before you went crazy? He'll be in a prison. That's most people would not consider that a merciful result, but that's what mercy means here. So it's not a great big fat dollop of mercy, go forth Jose. It's a little drop of mercy that says, I'm going to kill you. That's just all the mercy that would be requested here. Let me take you back a couple of days, and I'm going to read you some words that Judge Merman read to you in describing the elements of first-degree murder.
Okay.
And then I'm going to make an argument from that by reworking those words a little bit. None of what I say to you is a legal instruction. It's just an argument. It's just food for thought. Killing with premeditation is killing after consciously deciding to do so. The decision must be present in the mind at the time of the killing. The law does not fix the exact period of time that must pass between the formation of the premeditated intent to kill and the killing. The period of time must be long enough to allow reflection by the defendant. The premeditated intent to kill must be formed before the killing. That's what the judge read to you. Now, I'm going to change it up a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Killing with premeditation is killing after consciously deciding to do so. The decision must be present in the mind of each juror at the time of...
Oh, holy shit. I had no idea where he was going with that. And he took it in the worst possible direction. He's taking the instruction for premeditated murder and he's rewriting it as though the jury is committing premeditated murder. Holy fuck. Oh my God. What? I'm aghast. It's so much I don't even know what to do with it. Holy shit, dude. What the fuck? All right, I'm going to go back so I can enjoy this entire definition. Holy shit, what the fuck?
The decision must be present in the mind after performed before the killing. That's what the judge read to you. Now, I want to change it up a little bit.
Okay.
Killing with premeditation is killing after consciously deciding to do so. The decision must be present in the mind of each juror at the time of engineering the killing. The law does not fix the exact period of time that must pass between...
Yeah, they're like, we're going to object to that. Holy fuck, dude. Yeah, that's inflammatory. That is so inflammatory. And that is, yeah, improper argument and inflammatory is, yeah. No, I don't think so. No wonder they're going to object to this bullshit. Skipping ahead. Skipping ahead. We're skipping.
May continue. You may continue. You may continue.
So the judge didn't sustain whatever the objection was? Really? Probably gave him an admonishment not to do it again. But, yeah. Probably gave him a private admonishment not to do it again. But, yeah, that was inflammatory. I think a stronger instruction might have been required. All right.
What I'm saying to you is the process that you are relying on should be pretty ironclad. It should be clear. You should be able, if you're going to decide as jurors to impose the death penalty, to plant your foot on one firm piece of ground after another all the way through to that decision.
Uh-huh.
And if there's something strange that comes into that process, you should consider it. You should weigh that. Because as Ms. Minton told you in jury selection, this is a moral decision that you make as individuals. And it should be based on a system that you understand and that you can follow. I am going to talk about what you've been asked to do last week and what you're asked to do now. And I'm going to do a compare and contrast. At no point am I suggesting that anything you do or might do is illegal. I am not asking that anything you do or not do is in any way related to you being murderers or illegal killers or equating you in any moral way with Jose. But you were asked last week to convict a man because he thought about doing a killing beforehand and did it. What are you being asked to do?
Objection. Again, improper argument. The difference is
Not complete the thought, and I'll rule on the big objection if there is one.
The process that is before you, if you follow the instructions and carry it out and think about it, means that you're thinking about forming the intention to ask the judge, recommend the judge to kill Jose. So in this circumstance, it's righteous, right? So sometimes thinking real hard about doing a killing is okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's yes, that's the nature of what the death penalty is. That's true. What?
If you're comfortable with that.
In case you care, and we're here to try to learn something of legal value, the death penalty would be considered an excuse legally as opposed to a justification. So in law, if you want to do a thing that's normally illegal, there are two ways to make it legal. Well, yeah, there are two principal ways to make it legal. One is justification and one is excuse. So self-defense, for example, is justification. I did it, but I had a really good reason. That's justification. So the death penalty is considered legally an excuse. It's I didn't do it, right? So you could analyze like the executioner. Did he like meet every element of the crime? Yes, he met every element of the crime. So what's his argument? Is it justification? No, his argument is excuse. It's legally excused because it's legally permitted, because the death penalty is explicitly legally permitted. So it's considered an excuse. I didn't commit the crime at all. So in case you care, it's considered a legal excuse for the jury, executioner, and everyone else involved because it is explicitly legally permitted. And therefore, it isn't a crime. So it's excused. I'm glad to have provided you this valuable education.
If you should go back there and either more of you decide independently, and by the way, this is an independent thing. I don't say you can't talk to one another or nothing like that. But so far you have kind of walked the path together. Jury selection, you get on the jury, you hear the evidence, you've made your decision, and now all of you stand here at the point together. Sort of come up the stem or the base of a Y, and now you're at the V part and you're looking at the crossroads. That's where the law has deposited you now. And I have acknowledged that the state has demonstrated that there are aggravators. And as I told you, the gate is open for you to kill.
Uh-huh.
And I recommended humility. I recommend you don't go down that path. I wonder, with that gate open, I don't actually think so looking at you, but if any of you might now or in 5 minutes or 10 minutes regard it as some sort of temptation. No one gets to be in your position, very few people, to say, live or die. Look at here it is, live or die, it's up to you. It might be tempting. Walk the path that people don't get to walk. It's a forbidden path, highly forbidden.
It's legal. That's the nature of the death penalty. It's not forbidden. It's explicitly legal. It's considered a legal excuse because they don't commit the crime. It's like, yes, I met every element, but I'm legally excused. That's why the death penalty, that's why the executioner can commit the execution. It's like, yeah, you meet every element of the crime, but it's legally excused because he's the executioner. That's how that works. It's explicitly permitted. Damn it.
But it's open to you if you should find it alluring or tempting in any way, the forbidden fruit of control over someone's life or death. You're not in the Garden of Eden being tempted, you're in the Valley of Death being tempted. Walk out of it. Go away. Take the other path. Do not do any killing that is not absolutely required, and this is not required ever. And sometimes large matters can be understood in simple ways and things that might happen all of a sudden. And you don't even know it until it happens. And one of those I'm going to hang with you here if you can on this example. I call it lean in, lean out. Lean in, lean out.
Okay.
They lean in, they like something. They lean out when they don't.
Okay.
Lean in to give that first kiss. Hopefully someone's leaning back. Maybe they're not. Maybe they get to lean back.
What are we talking about now?
It's never happened to me, of course. But I use the example in this way. If you are a juror who votes to oppose the death penalty, you should remember this is an abiding decision. You're good with it now, you're good with it tomorrow, you're good with it forever. You should end up in conversation with someone, the topic comes up. And what did you do? I voted to kill him. Whoa. You're gonna get the whoa.
I don't know about that necessarily.
And the person hasn't had a chance to think about it. It hasn't penetrated the consciousness of that hearer at all. But you're going to get this, you're going to draw back in a whoa because you just admitted to them that you're on the spectrum. You're on the killing spectrum. You're not open.
You're on the killing spectrum. Pro tip: don't accuse the jury of being on the killing spectrum. This is horrible.
Here, the rest of us had nothing to do with it. You just said, yeah, I set a man up to die. And that doesn't make it. I guess so. No. Think about that.
Uh-huh.
This is a big decision. Yeah, I'm just about done.
I hope
I'm
so.
running out of juice. When you go home this afternoon, after having come back and given us your decision, you will now be a life giver or a life taker.
Wow.
You're not going to be the same. If you vote to set the wheels in motion, to give a heavy recommendation to this judge to kill this man, you're not going to be the same.
Uh-huh. Okay.
This is a life taker. You are not. Leave the life taker alone on the spectrum of death. Don't take a step nearer to him. Well, you don't have to. I invite you in my final words to consult your best selves, the highest portions of your consciousness, the lightness in your heart, not the darkness in your heart. To rot and die in prison is not merciful. It is a horrible, horrible sentence. Do that to him. Thank you.
Well, truly, that was one of the worst closing arguments, particularly in a death penalty phase closing arguments I've ever heard, by some measure. Now, the jury thought about it for about an hour. So they thought about what he had to say for about an hour, and then they'd like to provide some exciting thoughts about what they think about what he just had to say. So let's watch the exciting thoughts and see how that goes.
All right, all parties are present. I'm told the jury has reached a decision in this case. Before we bring in the jury, we tell those people in the audience here, regardless of what the jury's decision is, it's very important that people do not react emotionally to it. We have to remind ourselves of two things. Number one, the jurors are conscripted to be here. They're not here by choice. and two, is very much reflected in the proceedings in this case, where I've had to have 4 or 5 people arrested for not cooperating with the jury clerk's instructions to be present for jury selection. And those proceedings are ongoing. We have a difficult time getting people to participate and do their civic duty. If people were to react emotionally, it's going to affect the jury one way or the other, regardless of the decision, and that dissuades people from cooperating. So if you cannot control your emotions, you must leave at this time. I take this very seriously. I will put people in jail if they react emotionally. If you can't handle being here, do not be here for this. It is an emotional situation. And the reason is, as I stated before, my interest as a judge is to get people in the community to participate and be jurors. Anything that happens that dissuades them is taken very seriously. So you're welcome to be here, but if you can't handle the situation, please exit into the hallway and you'll find out what happened. All right, everyone's remaining with that admonition. Let's bring in the jury. We'll receive the jury's decision in this case. All right, the jury is entering. All right, Miss Bickley, the foreperson of the jury, if you please hand the jury's decision to the bailiff for my consideration.
Shall we remain standing at this table?
Yes, please, actually. Let me review the verdict. You may be seated at this time. The verdict form is in proper form. The clerk shall publish the verdict, omitting the caption.
As to the murder of Tanya Wise, we the jury find as follows. As to the defendant, Jose Soto-Escalera, aggravated factors. We the jury unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that Jose Soto-Escalera was previously temporarily convicted of another capital felony. Yes. We the jury unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the murder of Tanya Wise was committed for financial gain. No. We the jury unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the murder of Tanya Wise committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. If you, the jury, answer no to every aggravating factor listed, you have completed your deliberation as to count 1. We, the jury, find by a vote of 8-4 that Jose Soto-Escalera should be sentenced to death for the murder of Tanya Wise.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. Obviously, Florida changed its rules not that long ago to not require unanimity in the penalty phase of a death penalty case, the legality of which is questionable at best. So you can imagine that that will be a basis of his appeal and many other people's appeal in Florida for the ones that are not unanimous. So 8-4, they came to the death penalty. That will be a basis of appeal. And if I were a betting man, eventually the U.S. Supreme Court will not allow that to happen. So, and then supposedly at some point in the distant future, he'll have to be resentenced. So we'll have to do this again. So, but that's what they said for the moment, 8-4 to execute him. So, okay, fair enough as far as it goes.
Verdict as to the murder of the unborn child of Tanya Wise. Aggravated factors. We sure are unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that Jose Soto-Escalera was previously convicted of another capital felony. Yes. We the jury are unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the murder of the unborn child of Tanya Wise was committed for financial gain. No. We the jury are unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the murder of the unborn child of Tanya Wise was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. We the jury are unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the unborn child of Tanya Wise was a person less than 12 years of age. Yes. If you the jury answer no to every aggravated factor listed, you have completed your deliberations. We the jury find by a total of 8-4 that Jose Soto-Escalera should be sentenced to death for the murder of the unborn child of Tanya Wise, dated this 25th day of September 2025. Four-person Aria Bickley.
So I suppose the worst defense closing ever could be, at least they didn't get unanimity from the jury. They didn't get 12-0 because that would moot the issue. But yeah, they got 8-4. So they have a pretty viable appeal on that issue. So we'll see how that pans out in, 5 years or whatever, when the Supreme Court eventually winds up picking that up, in 5 or 6 years. So we'll see how it goes, but that's what we're at for the moment. Could be a while. We'll see.
Please be seated. I will poll the jury this time. Ms. Busa, does the decision announced by the clerk accurately reflect the jury's decision?
Yes.
Ms. Sedin, does the decision...
Okay, and now they're going to poll one at a time. We'll skip that phase. So anyways, that brings us to the end of this closing argument of the stupid. This was a lot of stupid, and I hope you enjoyed the stupid because I did too. It was pretty bad. It was pretty trash fire. It was one of the worst closing arguments I've ever had. It's like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like, I struggled to give it even 1. It was so bad. It was truly horrendous. A trained monkey could have done better. Any person a law student, pretty much any law student, but certainly a law student who does moot court or mock trial, no problem. I could do it. I could do better than this. Not saying I'd win, but I could do better. Holy shit. I feel overqualified. So this has been a very interesting tale. So I guess with that, I'm going to sign off. I've been Uncivil Law. Until next time, hope all's well. Cheers, my friends, for now. Goodbye. Holy shit.